What's up, y'all? AJ Simmons checking in. Today we're gonna talk about business insurance. My bad, y'all. I had a blink. I just drew a blink in my mind. But anyway, let's start that over. So, I'm AJ Simmons, founder of the Clean Biz Network, and today I'm gonna tell you about insurance for entrepreneurs. All right. And so when I say insurance for entrepreneurs, I'm gonna do insurance from a personal standpoint, so like your health insurance, and then I'm also gonna talk about insurance for like what your business needs too. So we'll put them all in one video and get all the information out here to you the way that you need it. All right, so here we go. So first, let's start with the personal side. So when it comes to health insurance, it's 4 ways that you can get health insurance. I know a lot of people are like, dang, I ain't got no job. If I ain't got no job, then where I get the insurance from? Well, it's pretty simple. The first way will be through Medicaid. And that's something that a lot of people overlook. In my last insurance video, I actually forgot to mention it too. But definitely Medicaid will be a huge one. A lot of people just automatically assume that they don't qualify for Medicaid and they think, oh, it's just for the poor people, right? But in actuality, though, when you first start a business, you are poor. You know what I mean? Just be clear about that. You are poor when you first start a business, because a lot of times, first off, if you're a single member LLC and your tax structure is just, pass through entity, then your income is not the gross. It's everything after all of your expenses. So you talking about after you pay contractors, after you pay for overhead supplies and all of the type of stuff, then whatever's left over, that's what you actually make. So that's number one. So when you first start, you ain't really making no money after all of the expenses. Then as you grow, you're gonna put yourself on salary. And if you know a little something about something, if you put yourself on salary, you switch over to an S corp, that you want to kind of put your salary as low as possible so you can pay as little payroll taxes as possible. All right. And so if you, let's just say, for example, you put yourself on payroll for minimum wage in your area, then guess what? You probably qualify for Medicaid. Okay. So definitely look into Medicaid first. And Medicaid is great because most of the time it covers pretty much everything. And sometimes he's going to have a very small copay or maybe not no copay at all. All right. So look into Medicaid first if you need health insurance and you're an entrepreneur, and you can usually go to your social service offices and figure that out. All right. So that's way number one. Way number two would be the marketplace. So what is the marketplace? The marketplace is also known as Obamacare. It's also known as the Affordable Care Act. But basically you can get it by going to healthcare.gov. All right, you just go to www.healthcare.gov, and then what that's going to do is going to take you to a marketplace of all these different insurance companies that you can apply for, so you can see what coverages they offer, you know what I mean, and pick and choose which one you want, and it'll tell you the price and all of that type of stuff. And the good thing about the marketplace is a lot of times they'll put you through this application, right, and then they'll see how much you can qualify for in government assistance through that program as well. And so what happens is with Affordable Care Act, they basically cover a portion of your health care premium. So let's just say, for example, it would have costed you $1,000 a month to get this particular health care insurance. Well, if depending on how much you make, the government might pay, let's just say 800 out of your 1,000, and you only got to pay 200 a month for this health coverage that was way more than what you could have afforded. But now, because you went through the healthcare.gov and you qualify based on your income, now you can afford to get this $1,000 per month health insurance. So that would be the second way to do it. All right. Third way would be private insurance, like private insurance companies. So this is basically just going directly to the insurance companies directly. You work with your healthcare professional, healthcare insurance agent, and then they'll put together a policy for you, and you work directly with them. From what I've seen, that's the most expensive way. So I don't really know a whole lot about that though, but that's just another option I wanted to mention it. All right. And then the last option will be something that's a little bit different. It's not quite insurance, but it's like it's a substitute for it, and it's called health sharing. So I looked into health sharing before. The concept made good sense, seemed like a good idea, but I did find certain reviews about them where they say, oh, the sharing organization didn't pay or wouldn't cover certain medical bills that they had. So you can kind of look into that. I won't get into that because I'm not an expert on it, but health sharing, just look up health sharing organizations, and you will find that, and you can kind of look further into that. And then a lot of them too, they're structured like MLMs, multi-level marketing companies. So that was the part I really didn't like about it. But the idea and the concept itself though does seem like a legit one. And it seemed like a feasible option if none of the other 3 options are good for you. So you can look into that too. All right. Now, let's switch over to business insurance. All right. And so if you're in a business, first off, it's going to depend on which line of business that you're in. People over here on my channel typically in the cleaning business, so I'll talk about that. Or you just in the service industry a lot of times. So with a cleaning company, the first piece of insurance that you're going to need is general liability coverage. All right. And so general liability is just going to cover pretty much the basics of any type of accidental things that might happen with your company. All right. The standard for our industry is $1 million in coverage, $1 million liability policy, and then you want $2 million in aggregate. Aggregate just means that that's the total for the year that it can happen. So for example, $1 million policy, that means that each incident, it'll cover up to $1 million in that accident. But if you get 2 million in aggregate, that means that you can go up to 2 million for the year. So let's just say you have an accident for that year and it costed the whole $1 million of your policy. Well, you can also get access to your insurance again another time that year, as long as it doesn't exceed 2 million. All right. And by the way, how often is that ever going to happen? Probably never, especially for a brand new smaller business. As you grow, then it'll probably get bigger. So it's excessive insurance, really, honestly, but it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. All right. And not to mention, a lot of the companies that you're going to try to work with and get as your customer, they probably going to require you to have that $1 million policy, or they just like to see it. So that's really the only main insurance that you do need. Now there are other coverages that you could get in addition to that. So one of them is called bond coverage, and so you can get a janitorial bond, and basically what that coverage is covers theft. All right, that's the main thing it covers, and there's something else too, but I forget what it is. But it's something along those lines with theft too. But basically, you typically don't need that if you know you're going to be the only employee. Okay, if you're the only employee in your company, or you're the only person cleaning, you know you're not going to steal as your own company. Why would you steal? You basically stealing from your own company. So if you know it's going to be mainly you doing the cleaning, or you your only employee, probably don't need bond coverage. All right. But if you get certain type of accounts, like banks, for example, they would love to see that you got bond coverage. All right. And as a matter of fact, they might even require that you have it. So that's something to look into. But if you're not required to have it in the beginning, I say don't stress it. Another one with the same along those same lines would be workman's comp coverage. All right. And workman's comp, I say look at your state for that, because if certain states don't require you to have it if you don't have over a certain amount of employees. So if you're not required to have it, then don't get it. You know what I mean? Get the basics, which is general liability, and we leave it at that. All right. So those are like the main 3 insurances. One other one I'm thinking about is you can get like lost key coverage. Some insurance companies will cover that, and so that's like if you know you got a bunch of people cleaning your buildings, you can be handing out keys. You can have your insurance cover if they lose the key, because some of these keys to these buildings, like you got some buildings, they got regular keys almost like your house key, and you can just go duplicate it somewhere, load somewhere, right? But then you got other buildings where they got industrial style keys, where you got to literally go to a locksmith only to get a copy of this key, and you got to have permission. And so that thing could be costly sometimes. And so if you got lost key coverage, that could come in handy for you, something to think about in the future as you grow. Also, inland marine coverage. If you know you got like a lot of big heavy equipment, floor machines and all of that type of stuff, then you might consider inland machine coverage, especially if you're going to keep all of the machines housed in your local office. The inland marine coverage might be something that you might consider as well. But if you know you ain't going to invest in a bunch of cleaning and floor machines and all that stuff, you just more so got cleaning supplies, like the most expensive thing you probably have is a vacuum, don't worry about that coverage either. All right. So and a lot of times too, if you run your company the way that I ran mine, and I typically coach my people to run theirs, you don't have, like when you doing special service jobs, floor jobs, all that type of stuff, carpet cleaning, you probably sub it out to a person that specializes in that service anyway. So you probably won't need inland marine coverage, and you probably won't need a bunch of big bulky equipment. All right. But anyway, that's what I got for y'all. So that's all the things you probably should know about insurance as far as an entrepreneur. One more I might throw in there just for shits and giggles, since somebody might be thinking about it, is life insurance. Should you get life insurance as an entrepreneur? If you young, if you single, you ain't got no kids, nothing to leave behind to nobody, no. Life insurance is for you to have something to leave behind to people, unless you just want to have something just enough, maybe a $10,000 policy or something just to bury yourself. fine, go and get that. It ain't gonna cost you nothing, especially if you're young, right? But if you know you got kids that you want to leave something behind to, and you know that, hell, we ain't rich yet, right? The goal is that you build this company big enough and you can either sell it and leave them, proceeds from the sale, or you can leave them the whole big, company that you're building, right? And so in the meantime, before you get that, it would be nice to have a nice, sizable insurance policy in place before, in case you die before you get to that big rich place that you plan on going as an entrepreneur, right? And that's what I did. So me and my wife, as soon as we could, we got the most maxed out policy that we could. We got the basic term coverage, because that's all you really need. You know what I mean? You can get technical and do the universal life and all that extra stuff, but a basic term policy is all you need, especially, again, if you're younger, because we were younger with kids. We was in our early 20s. We got a decent price policy. Actually, we was in our mid to late 20s by the time we got that policy. But anyway, you know what I mean? At the most at the time they would give us was $800,000. So we got $800,000 a piece. And then we knew that if we died before we ever got rich and fulfilled all these, entrepreneurial dreams that we had, at least, we got enough that's left behind to the kids where they got something. You know what I mean? And then I told myself, as we get older, once we get around about our 40-ish, you know what I mean? Because we knew we was going to keep working out like we already was, right? Keep ourselves in decent shape. And then the policy, I think it was a 30-year policy anyway. So around that mid-40s mark, just go back, re-up, you know what I mean, and renew the policy for another 30 years. All right. And so that's kind of how we did it. So do you need insurance, life insurance? It depends on what your personal goals are. But if you got kids, I highly recommend it, because you want to leave something for them. And also you don't want the burden of having to bury yourself all on your family members if you don't got nothing in savings or anything to leave nobody. So I recommend it. But if it's just you young, you're single, and you ain't got no kids, you ain't trying to leave nothing to nobody behind, you don't need it. Unless you just want to get the bare minimum to cover the price of your funeral, which would probably be about 10 grand or somewhere around there, then that's it. You know what I mean? But that's my opinion on on insurance in general. All right. And everything you'll need as an entrepreneur. Hopefully this video helped you. If you need more help and more guidance, I do have coaching programs available. The one-on-one program you can find at 1010program.com, and you can work with us one-on-one. Or if you want to just join the group coaching, it is cleanbiznetwork.app. All right, you go there, click join. You can join for free right now. Just type in the code word challenge at checkout, and you can get the first month free. After that is only $99 a month. You network with everybody. You get monthly coaching calls with me. You get access to our premium software with the bidding calculators and the CRM and all of that extra good stuff. And by the way, if you get the one-on-one program, you get all of this included with it as well. But anyway, you can check out both of those. And until next time, I'm AJ Simmons. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, the like button, the share button. I'm out of here. Thank y'all.